need a mic check? We're good, okay? Hey, good afternoon. Is this mic hot or what? Okay, is this better? Okay, okay. I don't want anybody to. Sir. What? Come on, Steve. Can you hear me now? All right. I'm on 147.000, so you can tune in there and should hear. No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, we're not going to do broadcasting here in amateur radio. Anyway, welcome everyone. First of all, I want to tell everyone here, our members and visitors and our new members, thank you for working with us on this slight transition in location tonight. This is not the norm for us, but we're very thankful that the Shadow Road Baptist, Church of Christ allows us to meet where we do, because that's a beautiful facility, and the air conditioning is always just right and everything else. And they give us a room we can keep some of our beverages in, paper towels and cups and all this other stuff. So we're really thankful for them. So they are having Vacation Bible School, and they're decorating for Vacation Bible School. So they used every square yard, or square inch, I should say, instead of square foot, to decorate for this, because they're expecting so many kids to show up for VBS. So anyway, that excites me. But anyway, I just want to share. So we're here tonight, and John, thank you so much for, man, as soon as I put that out to the officers and the board members, John, he saw it, read it, he's on the phone, he's working out this location here. So y'all see John, thank him personally for what he did. They threw this together on the fly to allow us to be out here, so we really appreciate it. It's a beautiful facility. It's not too far out of our way where we normally meet, so hopefully everyone found this location just fine. Those that have never been here before, this is my first time here, but thank y'all for working with us on this unexpected change in location, but I think it's going to work out just fine. So anyway, we appreciate y'all. Anyway, just want to welcome everyone, and before we get started into this little small agenda, I'd really like to take a moment. I have met some new folks tonight that are new. We've got one that's his first time with us tonight, so what I'd like to do is pause for just a minute and ask anyone that's a new member, a new licensed operator, or if you're visiting tonight, if you maybe want to raise your hand and share your name, call sign, or if you have anything that you'd like to share.
Yes, that's where I come in.
Michael, please take the floor.
Hi, my name's Mike. My call sign is KI5RDJ. I'm new to Tyler. I've lived in Longview most of my adult life, but my wife and I moved here to be closer to our grandkids. I'm retired IT from federal government.
All right, thank you, Michael. It's good to have you. Sonny.
Yeah.
Sir.
W5WXO, Sonny. Second meeting, and I'm a VE on Bush's team, and I spent 32 years in public safety for the DFW Airport, Police, Fire, and EMS, and I've been happily retired for the last 8 years, and we love Tyler.
All right, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I see a hand over here.
Joe Barron, my wife Virginia, call sign KJ5CF, and just got my license a couple of months ago. But it was pretty cool. Got the general license, and I'm good. So
There you go.
Congratulations.
He's also one of those guys that wears the funny little red hat.
Yeah,
Oh, you wear a funny red hat, is what John's saying.
yeah, kind of like his stupid hat.
He was potentate the year I came into the shrine.
Okay. Well, welcome to y'all. Welcome, both of you, for being here tonight. We appreciate you. So hope to see you again. Any others before we, sir?
Don Martin,
Hey, Don.
KJ4DB. Been in Tyler for about 4 or 5 years. Moved here from Key Largo, Florida.
Okay, from Florida. Wow. So how do you like East Texas?
Love it.
You love it.
I grew up in East Texas.
Okay. Well, welcome home, sir. Welcome home.
That's right.
Any others? Yes, sir.
Brian Gilstrap, it's my second meeting. I met a whole heck of a lot of you guys at the field day, which was a blast. class, by the way. Just loving the hobby so far, KJ5 FBY.
Awesome. And with that, Brian, if you don't mind, I didn't ask your permission, but I can ask for forgiveness later. Brian flipped hamburgers and rolled hot dogs for lunch during Field Day 2024. So
Hopefully everybody.
we want to thank him for that. And he hauled out a grill, propane, and set it up on the front porch there, out there at the facility. And man, he was, as we say, open for business. He was serving dogs, had them ready, and had hamburgers ready to go. So it worked out really good.
And burgers were good, too.
Brian, I hear they like the burgers, so the burgers were good. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I enjoy it. Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Well, we appreciate you. Brian and I talked for quite a bit. We have a mutual friend, someone that I work with, someone that he knows, and we got telling stories. That's kind of how we got to know each other and stuff. But anyway, Brian, I was going to say, Brian wanted to do what he did during Field Day as part of giving back to the amateur radio community and the community and everything else. That was something that he wanted to do, and we can't say enough. We really appreciate your willingness to do that. And it's great to have you with us. Also, he brought his family out, and I want to say, who all got on the radio on that?
They all three did.
All three.
Kennedy, Hayes, and Collins.
There you go. So they played ham radio while they were out there as well, because Daddy was doing it. So here we go, right? Anyway, thank you again. Any others, visitors? Anyone recently upgraded? Got their ticket upgraded or anything? No. Jeff, you can work on that. Get all the grandkids get settled and everything will be fine. So, all right. I did not do this last month, and I should have, but I didn't do it. Because everything was kind of out of order, and we were rushing to get Field Day organized, ready to go, and everything else last year. So what I wanted to do is introduce our officers and at-large board members, so everyone, especially our new folks, will know who they are. John, where did you go? He's standing up at the back over here. John is our vice president of TARC, and Josh over here is making sure that all the audio, video stuff is doing what it's supposed to do. He's our secretary. He also takes care of our finances, keeps everything balanced and so forth with that. And then also Steve, right over here, standing up in the blue shirt. He's one of our at-large board members. And then, who else do we have? Jack sitting here at the front table in the red shirt. He's one of our at-large board members as well. I will tell you, serving as the TARC president, I could not do what I do without these folks. These folks are so supportive, it's unreal. I do get this a lot, well, whatever you want to do, Mr. President. But anyway, they joke a lot and we have fun, but they're accessible, they're easy to get to, and they respond. And y'all have some really great board members and officers here to serve you, and that's what we're here for, is to serve you, to make sure that you have fun in ham radio. If we disappoint you or don't do anything the way you like to see it, all you got to do is come and talk to one of us. Pull us to the side and tell us what you think is going well, what you'd like to see go a little different, and we're here to serve you, and we'd be willing to look at whatever we need to do to make things better for you and also for the ham radio community at large, in our community as well. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn this over to Josh. He's going to give us a finance report so y'all kind of know where we are, and then we'll continue on.
All right. Last month we had Field Day, which was our biggest financially expensive event of the year. So we ended up spending $1,900, a little over that, on Field Day this year. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the meeting. We took in $418 in renewals, which leaves us, I can't read that with my glasses, 6,000 something in the bank. Currently have perfect, thank you. We have 121 active members in the club, down a little, just happens every year after June 1st, but we'll get that back up as people renew. Any questions, comments, or concerns about the finances or membership count? All right. That's all I got.
All right, sir. Thank you, Josh. I will tell you, I don't know how Josh keeps up with all this stuff, but he is a collector of receipts and keeps everything rolling. That is not my field of expertise, but he does a really good job as a club secretary doing that and taking care of all of our finances as well. What I would like to do is, Wayne, if you'd like to come up and take a few minutes to share about some field day statistics. Wayne is the keeper of that, and he has some numbers we'd like to share with the club tonight to kind of let you know what it looked like on the record-keeping side, if you will.
Thanks, Gary. Okay, well, we won't have the thing from this contraption, but oh well.
That's okay.
Because we don't, we'll be fine without it. So pause for a moment while the computer decides to wake up and maybe realize that it's a computer. Oh, good, it knows it's a computer. Here we go. One of the drawbacks to doing a slide deck and not using it is that you didn't do an outline, because the slide deck kind of works as the outline. So, okay. So there's a few keys to a successful field day. Food, propagation, participation, and air conditioning. And I think we had all of those. I think we just, so that's good, but we also get points for things, and so maybe, maybe we ought to look at that kind of stuff. By the end of field day, we had 2,111 QSOs in the log with 1,792 stations for a total of 6,794 points. We had 24 operators in the log on 5 radios with 3 different modes, and we used the whole 24 hours, so that's good. Well, gosh, that works better if you can see the chart, but there's no chart because the computer's not hooked up to anything, so oops. The what? Well, yeah. Yeah, oh well. It'll be fine. Well, we can skip that, skip that, skip that. If you want to see more charts and graphs, there's a fantastic log analysis program called SH5. It's not free, but it's inexpensive, and it's great at log analysis. It makes a whole lot of charts and graphs, and those are online at sh5.wm5q.com/club. SH5, the name of the program, wm5qmycall.com/club, because it's the club thing, because I also have my own logs up there. And I have those charts and graphs and stuff going back about 10 years. So you can compare this year's field day to anything like that. We had a bunch of things. Okay, field day was overwhelmingly positive. It went very well. So Gary asked me to share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and which is hard because there's so much good. So like a 40,000 foot view of the good. Turnout from the ham community was fantastic. Participation was good. The station design, it worked. Who has done a field day with a club, well, other than us? Who has seen anybody else's field day? Did you have, Sonny, did you have any problems between transmitters at field day? Anybody else have that before? Yeah, it's a universal feature of field day that we don't have here because the station design works, and it worked again. The scouts, the visitors, that went great. My goodness, I hope everybody got the chance to spend some time in both rooms out there, because, I mean, my goodness, it was really exciting to see the scouts, the visitors, their parents, all huddling around the radio, and the excitement level in the room. That was fantastic. As you saw on the charts and graphs that I didn't show earlier, the QSO and point totals were great. The rate was fantastic, except only on phone, unfortunately. That was what went really, really, really good. And it's so hard to decide where, what was just regular good and what was really, really good. So the operator scheduler seemed to work pretty good. Propagation was there. I've heard people say that they thought propagation might have been short. I don't know. It was working. Setup went fantastic. And the digital modes, FT8, FT4, really filled the idle time that we've had for many years. That was the good. But we still got to cover the bad and the ugly because, we do ourselves a disservice to not do that. There were a couple and this is the 300-foot view of what went not quite so good. And there are not many things. This is wonderful. Because most everything went so well. Who knows about the out-of-band issue? Who's heard about the out-of-band issue? Okay. Who knows about the other one? Who knows about the other out-of-band? Yep. I only found out after I started looking at the log after I found out about the first out-of-band. So that wasn't good. And as the guy whose name and call and license are associated with the club license, I don't like to see out-of-band. I guarantee it was an honest mistake, but, maybe we can try to avoid that, in future. We were, another not quite so good, the code tower. The tower for the code antennas. We were going to get a fellow was going to bring a 100-foot tower, 100-foot portable tower, hydraulic crank-up thing, and we were just going to run it up to like 45, 50, 40 or 45 feet, because, that's how you do it. And he was getting ready to bring it out, and he said, well, let me test this first before I hook it up and drive it out. And it blew a hydraulic seal. And so there went the hydraulic oil, there went the pressure, and it's a no-go. Which, that's fine, but that wasn't quite so great. But it was a few more hours later until I found out about it, so that I knew that we needed to go with plan B for the code antennas. So, oh well. We also, we kind of did the code guys dirty this year because CW didn't get any operating time because of FT8. Because they're sharing radios and antennas. And so we're gonna have to figure some kind of fair, equitable, balanced way to handle that. Because code is important. Mark and I were talking about it afterwards, and Mark said, yeah, we gotta protect the code guys. And I thought that was good wording. We had the annual GOTA issue. Every time we do GOTA.
Wasn't me this year.
And actually, it wasn't even you guys first. Somebody beat you to it.
Oh.
So you're okay.
I'll go back.
That happens. I've got an idea. I have some ideas. But
Explain what the GOTA issue is.
yeah. So the GOTA transmitter, this thing moves, that's why it's doing things. So the GOTA transmitter, there are three categories of people who are eligible to operate that radio. There are people who have gotten their ham license for the first time since field day of the previous year. In previous decades, they would have been called novices. And then there are the generally inactive hams, which whatever that means, but I think the classic example of that is the guy who got his license 50 years ago and has kept it up, but hasn't used it in 20 because family and career and all got in the way. Or even, 2 or 3 years, but that kind of thing. And then members of the general public who don't have their license, the visitors. So that means that the fourth category of people is it's easier to say who's not eligible to operate that radio, is the people who have had a ham license for over a year and who are generally active hams. That would be basically most of us. And inevitably, every time we try to do GOTA, some well-meaning ham will sit down and at this radio that nobody's at and make one or two or a few QSOs trying to help out, and I have to throw away the GOTA log. And so we don't get any points for all of that stuff. Now GOTA, the GOTA activity went great with all the visitors and the new folks and all that. We just don't end up getting any points for it. And that seems to be a recurring issue here. But maybe we can get some points for it next time. Let's see. Another not so good, the noise in the radio room, the conversation level. We got to keep that radio room quiet. Mark, how easy was it to hear on 20 meters in the first hour?
Not easy at all.
Uh-huh. And
Mean to people. I was mean to people. I told them to shut up.
So yeah, we got to remember, and it's so easy to get into conversation, but we got to remember to keep the din, down a little bit. And again, this is relatively nitpicky because everything else went fantastic. And I'm almost done with the not so good list. RF flooding. Who knows what RF flooding is? I didn't think I'd see any hands. Okay, did anybody at I think we had this year. You're operating a radio at field day, and suddenly you start hearing Morse code, one of our transmitters on Morse code, with a really buzzing characteristic, and you can't get away from it by turning the knob. That is the symptom of RF flooding. And I'll tell you what happens. So in the near field of our transmitting antennas, there's a building with electrical wiring in it. That electrical wiring, it happens to be the building that we're in, but that electrical wiring functions as an antenna. It picks up the energy that we've transmitted, some of it, and it's just there. That happens all the time, and that's fine. But what has happened with RF flooding is that there has been a cheaply made and poorly designed switching power supply connected to that wiring. And what happens is the transmitted signal, our transmitted signal that it picks up, gets mixed and rectified with the AC line voltage, and so the rectification, that's double the line frequency. So there's a strong 120 hertz component. It gets rectified, so the amplitude, information goes away, and gets re-radiated into the near field of our receiving antennas. And the culprit, 99 and 44/100% of the time, the culprit behind that, the thing at fault, is a phone charger. Because they're made as cheap as they can with as few parts as they can, and they don't care about noise. This is a common problem at any multi-operator station. So we've had some of that. And it is so perplexing when you hear it because you can't get away from it, and you can't figure out why. But phone charger. Oh, yeah, tons of harmonics. But, it's not fun. And then the last little issue was apparently the FT8 program, when you put it into contest mode, the program changes some of its behavior, which is, in hindsight, the whole point of putting it into a different mode is for it to behave differently. And apparently that tripped up a couple of people, so we're gonna have to, make sure that we can train people for what it's gonna do. That was all of the bad. That was all of the bad and the ugly. And again, the wonderful outweighs it tenfold. But we gotta look at that. So the out-of-band issues, it would be easier if you could see a thing that's not there. The numbers have been changed, the frequencies have been changed to protect the innocent. But the nature of the out-of-band is still the same. What's wrong is anything wrong with 21.450 upper sideband. That is, the suppressed carrier is right on the upper edge of the 15-meter band. And we're upper sideband. And so our occupied bandwidth starts just a little bit above that suppressed carrier and goes up for about 3K. So the entirety of our signal was out of band on that one transmitter for that period of time. Fortunately, somebody, I guess, watching the live stream thing or hearing us on the air was kind enough to jump on Discord and say, hey, the guy at the meter radio is out of band, or was a couple of minutes ago. So, oops. Let's not do that. 3598 lower sideband. What's wrong with that? Well, by golly, that's all outside of the code, outside the phone band. Even the suppressed carrier and half of the other sideband if it wasn't filtered out. So, oops. That's honest mistakes, but let's try to avoid that. So I've got some ideas for improvement next year, and I'm happy to take ideas too. Actually, before I do that, Mark, anything else, any more observations that you've got from this year?
The one I struggle with the most is the noise in the room. Hard to solve it and still maintain the esprit de corps of the activity.
Yeah, and better isolation on the headphones, like your Pro 7 that's in my truck. Don't run away before I can get that back to you. That helps, that will help solve some of it, but the microphone will pick up all that racket behind you. I guarantee people, you've all heard that on the air before. Working a special event, and the guy on this radio that you're listening to starts transmitting, and then you hear everybody talking behind him. So, yeah.
What if we have an assigned monitor that's not on a radio, that when the station is up and active, when we rotate through and take turns, you're the monitor of the radio room, and somebody gets up and they forget, they get into their conversation, whatever, they don't realize is that person, they're the ones who are responsible. Hey guys, can you carry the conversation to the other side of the building? We need to keep this room quiet. To kind of police the room, if you will, and just, might be an idea.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. So yeah, ideas for improvement for next year. Out-of-band interlock. It will be easy to build a device which listens to the CAT data, and if the radio is out of band, it will inhibit the transmitter before you even try to transmit. That sounds like a good safety feature. So I'm working on that. I think we can fix the GOTA problem by doing GOTA except in name. What do I mean by that? The whole point, there's nothing in the rules that says we can't do exactly what we did on GOTA, with GOTA, except not make it GOTA. It's just another K5TYR transmitter. It's another mainline transmitter. We just happen to be doing GOTA type things with it. And then that means it doesn't matter who uses it. And we still get points, admittedly about half as many points as we would if it was, GOTA proper. But I'll take half the points. And that also means it can be busier. It means we don't have to give up, say, 15-meter phone for the entire weekend just because, just for GOTA. We can make a lot more on it. So I think we can do that.
Yeah, on the GOTA box, I think I was one of the reasons it was so loud in the radio room, because there were so many people around GOTA. I kept having to turn the volume up to the point where I got asked to turn it off, and it was running people out of the room, and they were going to the radio room trying to have a conversation. But at one point around the GOTA radio, there was probably 20 people trying to listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have enough headphones for that. I think it's in the wrong spot.
You put it in another room?
That's a good point.
Well, and I'll tell you the reason why it's off by itself, or we've done it off by itself, is precisely because we can't do headphones for it, not with that many people. And if anyone's done a field day without headphones and everybody's in the same room, you get the volume war. The person on that side of the room turns up the volume so they can hear their radio above the one on the other side of the room, and then they turn up the volume so they can hear theirs over that one, and it's just one of those things. If there's a better way to do GOTA, let's do it. Let's plan it.
How many points did we miss out on? Do you know?
If the thing was right that I looked at briefly, I think it would have been 400 something points, I think. Although that seems wrong because that would be 10 per each, and there are only 5 per each. Anyhow, a few hundred points, not a lot more than that, I don't think.
Are you serious that the rules actually say that if somebody accidentally makes a contact, you have to throw away the whole thing? You can't just eliminate that contact?
Well, and that's my interpretation, because it doesn't say what to do, it says what you're permitted to do. And so if you break the rule, if I remove the offending contact, is it log washing? I think it is, because we're taking the log that is what we did, the document of what we did, and saying, oh, but we didn't do that, and we didn't do that. So, it's one of those weird ethics things. But yeah, not doing GOTA proper solves that, and we still get points.
Yeah, that's true, but we could also ask the ARRL what to make a ruling on.
I mean, honestly, if I were, with the out of band, we had probably half an hour of out of band, and that's a much bigger deal. Says the guy who is hoping to not get a pink postcard in the mail from Riley.
That's a different matter.
Yeah, and part of the, if I knew the extent of that when I submitted the field day logs, because I did that in the immediate hours after field day because it was ready, I should have submitted us as a check log, which is I'm disqualifying myself because we broke the rules, including big ones. But it was too late for that.
You have no hope as a politician, I'm telling you.
This is true, and thanks for the compliment. Anyhow, so that's the GOTA, that enough with the GOTA thing. One thing I notice year after year is about a third of our operators, and we have about 20 to 30 usually, about a third of our operators get most of the points, get most of the QSOs in the log, which is that, I mean, that's typical for anywhere you go. There is another about third that consistently year after year will make 1, 2, maybe 5 QSOs, you know, and spend 15, 20, 30 minutes doing it. And that's all. So I wonder, is there a way to get, you know, is there a way to convert the onesie twosie 15-minute people into 25, 50 QSO people? I don't know. And I'm curious, you know, is there something that we could be doing that we're not to make that easier? For all I know, it could be that it's really hard to hear on 20 meters through really tight filters in really crowded band conditions, and you know, after fighting 10 minutes to get 1 in the log, they say, you know, I can't hear good enough to do more. If that's the case, maybe 10 meters or 15 meters is a better band. Maybe FT8 is something worth trying, because then you don't have to hear. I mean, my goodness, 20 meters is bad enough if you've got great hearing. If you have any hearing damage, like probably many of us have some, that makes it worse. So
Is that like the searching pounds method? Is that what's going on there?
I don't know.
Instead of running a frequency, maybe we need to encourage more running a frequency than doing the search and pounce method.
Oh, absolutely. If you can run a frequency, please do, because you'll potentially put 100 QSOs in the log instead of 25, 30 max. And that's a big deal. It's hard to tell the people who have 1 QSO in the log. Were they running a frequency? Were they search and pounce? They were probably searching and pouncing, is my guess.
Isn't there a setting in the logging where you specify which mode you're doing?
Yeah, on the phone, though, if you don't set that, it doesn't get set. I could look in the ADIF and see if the run, search, and pounce says anything.
I made that mistake too, that the previous operator would have it set for search and pounce, and I'm running a frequency, and I've done sit there and made a whole bunch of, because I asked you, is that going to create a problem on the log? I forgot to change it to run a frequency, and I've been sitting here for 30 minutes, making how many contacts, and you're like, no, it's fine. So.
Exactly. Because that doesn't control, all that toggle really controls is what the macro keys do, which set of macros you have in front of you. For example, in search and pounce, and I'll use code as an example because it's easier and the computer sends. If you press the F1 key in search and pounce mode on code, it sends QRL ? It sends is the frequency clear, and then it switches to run mode. And then when you press it again, it sends CQ. So the QRL is from the search and pounce table, and the CQ is from the run table. That's really all that does. But yeah, is there an easy way to convert the onesie twosie people into 20, 30, 50 people? I'll take ideas. Let's see, we need to prioritize code over digital, because it is so easy. There are, well, who can do digital here? Who can do code comfortably enough to use? Yeah, there's a big difference there. Gordon.
From someone who was there, I can tell you from 9 p.m. that evening till 3 a.m., it was me and Francis running
That's
FTA.
probably what you can do, get people.
I run search and pounds. You can look at the numbers and see what it adds up to. I don't know what Francis does. He's on the computer next to me, but I I can't tell you if he searched the past or what. We both ran FTA. We run, and he ran Blue FTA. From 9 p.m. that evening to 3 a.m. Sunday morning, the 3 voice stations were empty. There was nobody on the other side of the room. It was just me and Francis, and we did it, and we did it hard. He took the table that was with people, like you said, you could need to do CW or digital, whatever. Ham had trouble doing CW on the 10-tech radio. When Francis came in, he fixed it. He cleared it all up and was running FTA before he could turn around. So we stayed at it for 6 hours straight, at least during that one. And I think if you look at the log, it's got quite a bit of points for that. And there were no voice. There were no voice stations running at all for 6 hours. Now, this old man finally gave up at 3 a.m. in the morning and went home. So after that, I can't tell you what happened, because I'm sure people came in and voice took off and all kinds of stuff like that. But during the deep night, I can explain to you what happened, because Francis and I were there, and we were doing digital. I was on 20 meters, no problem. Dan stayed up the entire time. I believe Francis was on 40.
Yep.
And he had no problem. 40 kept going all night long. So from the digital side of the house, FTA, I'm speaking, and FT4, we were very active. We were stopping to hydrate or use the boys' room. We pushed it through the night. And like I said, I finally gave up after 15 hours straight at the key break. Went home at 3 a.m. But I'm sure there's some operators who showed up.
We didn't have our overnight code person either that we normally have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking for the pizza at midnight, it never showed up, but we kept.
I mean, if he would have come in, there might not have been a station for him to work that night, so we think we probably need to have another one dedicated to code for the overnight only if we don't have someone that's gonna be able to do it.
Do you get more points for CW?
No, it's the same as digital, but, well, oh no, my point is that we didn't have our code person that night.
Yeah, I understand.
Camp was the only one I knew of, but.
And he had trouble with the 40 on code.
Well, there wasn't anything wrong with the 40. I never had any trouble at all with that radio with 40.
Well, I sit there and watched him for 30 minutes trying to,
Yeah, I remember that.
He wasn't able to work stuff.
He told me he would have trouble.
So then, Francis did something, and Francis even had trouble with FTA on it. He totally redid the FTA stuff and made it work.
All I know is I came in at 6 a.m. Sunday morning, and the Omni 7 at that point, I'm sure you're right.
Francis did something to make it work for FTA. The night before, I had tried to work FTA on it, I couldn't get anything to work on 40.
He took that station all the way down and brought it back up to get FTA to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good radio.
Yeah. Good. But there was problems with code and FTA on it. But I mean, my point was that we didn't have our code person like we normally do overnight. But they kept it going with FTA, and that was good. And I think Francis was working through radios at one point.
Oh, yeah.
After Gordon left.
Yeah, Francis was doing 2B SIQ for a bit there. But one of the reasons to prioritize code over Joe Taylor digital modes, and here I have to specify Joe Taylor digital modes, is that the Joe Taylor modes have a speed limit, and the speed limit is really low. The speed limit is 30 or 50 QSOs an hour. I mean, the theoretical limit is about 60 on FT4. And that's if you're making a QSO every single cycle. A good code operator can put 150 in the log in an hour. And anything above that is operator skill. And I know that at one point Mike Betas came in, he wanted to do code, and both radios have digital going. Mark?
Yeah,
is phone something we could focus on somehow more during the overnight time?
Sure, I mean,
Are there stations out there to talk to?
Oh, yeah.
Or is everybody asleep?
No, those headphones
Or
are there.
how do we do it? Do we need 80 meters?
You could hear the headphones on the voice stations. They were very active.
At what time?
Anywhere from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Really? Okay.
I don't know what was behind me, I'm sorry.
So it was obviously 15, 40, and 20 was behind it.
One of those, there was activity.
Yeah, around solar maximum, solar peak, 20 and 40 meters will, Gordon, you guys saw it on the FT8. 20 and 40 will stay open 24/7. And so, at night. So 20 and 40 would have worked fine on the phone.
We just need to get more people signed up for those spots at a time.
Yeah, it's just always a challenge getting overnight operators. Because, I mean, that's...
You get old enough, your sleep cycle flops, and you're up all night.
Oh,
I haven't found that yet.
I hadn't run into that problem.
Just wait.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, it's always hard to find overnight and Sunday morning ops. We have too many on Saturday before dinner. And then after dinner, it's like cockroaches, and there's nobody left for overnight.
Just one suggestion. The big monitor that was on the wall there that was showing the operators and the contacts and the points and all that kind of stuff like that. If that could be duplicated in the other room where all the food is and the go station and everything else like that, I think that would help with the conversation issue that Mark and what they were talking about, John was talking about, because people want to see what's going on, obviously, and that's a fantastic tool that you can see all the information, all the statistics, the operators who are operating, the ones who had already operated, the contacts being made. I believe it even had the modes up there. All that stuff was up there, and I think if we could duplicate it and put it in the other room, it would help move a lot of that foot traffic and voice traffic into the other rooms so we can operate a little more quietly. This was just a suggestion.
Sure thing. That would probably help. Because I remember a bunch of us, at various points were gathered around that television.
It's a lot of information. It's great. It's fantastic. I've never seen it before, and it was cool. It was great. But just a food for thought.
Yeah. Let's see. We probably might not be so lax about control operators. Speaking to the out of band, partly. We say that, there's a, if you're a tech or a novice and you want to, work 20 meters or whatever, oh, sure, there's a dozen extra class operators around you somewhere. But, just to be clear, we still do have to, if we need one, have a control op who knows they're being your control op, right, sitting right next to you there so that they can do control operator things if need be. I guarantee you every club is lax about control ops on field day. But, everybody's an extra on field day, but, we do have to actually do that, right. And again, we rarely have any problems related to that, but, just to make sure that we're clear, we still have to fall apart 97 even on field day. And the last little bit for improvement is maybe no phone chargers. Which, unfortunately, I'm serious. The big multi-op stations, if you bring a phone charger and for a 48-hour contest, you're driving there, you're sleeping in the sleeping quarters behind the radio room at the big station there. If you bring a phone charger, they will confiscate it at the door. You can get it back when you leave. In the meantime, what a bunch of them do is they have a linear 5-volt power supply with some USB sockets so that you can charge your phone, because the charging part isn't the problem. It's the cheap switching power supply. So maybe...
The other thing is to have a battery bank thing to charge your phones.
Sure. But yeah, no plug-in phone chargers, because they make us interfere with ourselves, and that doesn't help anything. But that, Gordon.
Website, the SH5 one?
Yeah.
Please.
sh5.wm5q, mycall.com. And if you go there, you'll see if that's all you type in, you'll see a link for a directory called club, and then one for my stuff. So /club, and that'll get you there. Way more charts and graphs than you ever wanted to see, but they're there. And since nobody got to see the slide deck with the charts that I threw together, I'll probably put that up there too, just so you can see those. Yeah, FT8 really shined overnight because it filled in those hours with a steady 50 an hour. Unfortunately, that's all it can do, but it did fill that in. But then phone, when you look at the rate graph by mode, unfortunately, code wasn't present at all, basically, or didn't show up in the results. The FT8 was the grass under the trees of phone. Really looks like that, but that really did help fill it in.
Is there an easy way to maybe convert some of the sideband to digital overnight if people are not going to use them for voice?
Not with the antenna we have, because the tri-bander that we have, you set it for phone or code on all the bands, and it is too sharp to work in the bottom of the band and the top part of the band at the same time.
I'm just thinking if we had those, they're not being used, and we had someone come in that wants to work FTA or CW overnight, and the other stations were taken up, we could move over.
Yeah, well, and we're still only permitted one transmitted signal per band mode at a time. My thought for next year, by the way, I should have said this before. We did 3 transmitters on the one side and 2 on the other this year. My thought is 4 and 4. 40, 20, 15, 10, phone, and then code digital. I'd love to be able to separate the code and the digital to separate radios, but to do that, we would need a third tower positioned, well, and if you, with the 2 towers that we had, the phone tower was the one in front of the building by the road. The code tower is the one in back. If we were to separate code and digital to separate radios and separate antennas, what we'd have to do is put up a third tower at least 300 feet on the opposite side of the phone tower, across the road where the buildings there are, and which are apparently where some of the people who work at the camp live, which I don't think we're permitted to put stuff there. And then we'd have to have a third antenna and a bunch of long feed lines, and but they're, so that's kind of why we're kind of stuck with code and digital together. But I'd love to be able to do that. That would be ideal.
Do the rules say that you have to have a single location?
Everything.
Could we have 2 locations in the Tyler area here, both for?
All of the station transmitting and receiving equipment and all the operators must be within a 1,000-foot maximum diameter circle. So dang inconvenient. Now, we could have another station under a different call, but that would be a different station.
And we will get that in score.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think with 8 transmitters we'll be good. And maybe what we do is on the code and digital side, we say, either these hours are code hours or digital hours, or maybe what we do is we say that digital, we're going to restrict to these bands during this time, or maybe what we do is we say, you can operate digital as much as you want, but if somebody comes in and wants to do code on that radio, you got to let them do that. That feels like the easy way to do it, because code is more points and is part of an important tradition in ham radio. Really, really long tradition.
I don't see that method working. We're all too polite to interrupt somebody who's having fun on a radio.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Sunday morning, I was working FT8 on 20, and I don't remember who it was come in and was looking to work code, but he alluded to, he was supposed to be on 40, and there was somebody over there, and he didn't want to interrupt him, and then kind of after the fact, because I didn't even check the schedule, it's just there was nobody sitting there, so I sat down and started running FT8 Sunday morning, and I'm like, well, I wonder if I had worked in his time slot and just didn't realize it. And because I even offered to say, well, hey, and he's like, no, Wayne's got that set up for FT8, and I don't want to mess it up by switching it over to code. So I'm like, okay, so I just continued with what I was doing. So, you may be right. Too polite to say, hey, I'm signed up for this slot, I'm supposed to be on 20 meters, go somewhere else.
Yeah, sure, I can relate. So it'll take, give it some thought, because we need ideas on what's a good way to do that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm thinking 4, 8 radios, 4 and 4, do go to accept in name, and hopefully try to fill as much of the time as we can. Keep things going as much as we can. A little bit more and I'll be done. I hope you didn't have another 2 hours of stuff planned, Gary.
No, but I got 2 more things to talk about.
Okay.
Someone else needs to talk about.
Okay. One of the ways to improve, to make more QSOs at Field Day is to become a better Field Day operator. And, Field Day looks a lot like a contest with a bunch of other stuff added. Whether it is or not is up to your interpretation, but the easy way to get good at something that looks like something is to do more things that look like that throughout the year. So if you want to get better at Field Day, get on the air for contests. More is better. The more practice you get is better. Don't think of it as a contest. Think of it as Field Day practice. There is a big Field Day practice event on average at least once a month for a full weekend, and you can practice Field Day without having to leave your house. But we may also have some multi-op opportunities coming up in the fall, or starting in the fall. And maybe if you don't have a home HF station, or you think it's not good enough, come out to multi-op stuff with us and get yourself some practice. The more familiar you are with the knobs and controls on your radio, even though you're probably not using the same radios that we are, they mostly all have the same controls somewhere in there. The more familiar you are with what knobs do what. Like, for example, I'm on 20 phone and the AGC, or 40 phone, and the AGC is just pumping away with band noise and static crashes, and I can't hear. How do I fix that? It's better if you know, well, the way you do that is roll back the RF gain, or kick in some attenuation, or speed up the AGC, some combination of that. And then it's a matter of, okay, where are those on this radio? And I guarantee you on all the Field Day radios, they're on the front panel somewhere. So you don't have to dig. But that's better than saying, well, I can't hear and I don't know how to fix it. So reasons to do Field Day practice, and being familiar with the logging program, because it can do more than just be a typewriter. It will help you make contacts. It will help you not make mistakes. If you want to give it some practice, North American QSO Party RITI is this weekend. It's 12 hours starting at about noon or 1 p.m. on Saturday, and going for 12 hours. Texas QSO party in September, third weekend in September. We're probably going to be at the KC5 KCT Superstation in Noonday, and we'd love to, no one is too inexperienced or not good enough to operate that, and I hope Thomas would say the same thing. There's a bunch of other contests during the year. We don't have the operator award things to give out today, do we? No, okay.
Not today.
Okay. Well, just know, I'll save the suspense for later. But look forward to top operator awards for the most QSOs in each mode, phone, code, digital. And there's also a special recognition for a best rate, because we had a really good, an operator with a really good rate this year. So be looking for that in the future. If anyone's interested in learning more contest stuff, this is a published book of the entire slide deck from Contest University some years ago. There's about a dozen different presentations in here, all the way from what is a contest to ethics to deep dives into, oh gosh, I don't even know what, antennas and stacking and stuff, I'm sure. All the way from introduction to contesting to, oh gosh, how to adapt your DX contest strategies for low solar activity. This was in Solar Min. If anybody wants it, I'll plop it on the table there. It's yours. Thanks, Gary, and thanks for all the QSOs.
Wayne, thank you. Thank you for maintaining the stats and pulling all this together. Wayne does this, and shortly after field day, after everything's taken down and the room's put back together and carpets vacuumed and all that other stuff, he's still working on this stuff and getting all this submitted, going through the right format of the file submittal and everything, and crunching these numbers and looking at what we have and what we don't have and what it looks like to make sure we're lined up with the rules and regs from the ARRL. So Wayne, thank you again for everything that you do, because there's a lot of detail that goes on that you and I don't see. So anyway, just want to thank Wayne for all those that assist in putting everything up, getting all the IT stuff up and running. We appreciate that very much. Two more things really quick, if we could. There's some stuff on the agenda we're going to slide until next month. I think we can take that next month and give you all a little time to visit a little bit before everybody jumps in their vehicles and heads home. Roy, would you like to come up here for a couple of minutes and share about the announcement you want to make about the POTA weekend, please, sir? Thanks, Roy.
So I completely agree with Wayne that practice will make us all better. I know I need practice. One way to practice I've really been enjoying lately is Parks on the Air. I've done a lot of activations lately. I've even activated one for its first activation last weekend, a new park up in Oklahoma. That was a lot of fun. So this weekend is a special weekend within the Parks on the Air activity called Support Your Parks. So you get a special award if you activate a park during that time. So I've gone ahead and gotten a campsite at Tyler State Park. I'll be out there Friday and maybe Saturday if the weather's still good, just doing Parks on the Air. If anybody would like to come out and learn about Parks on the Air, or if you haven't done it before, I'll help you start an account and get you activated. If you're a technician, I'll have a 10-meter set up with me so that we can get you in the program as well.
Thank you, Roy. He will be at 8:03.
8:03.
That's a screen shelter?
It is not. It's just I kind of picked a site that's away from a lot of people, because I didn't want to disturb other people.
What time are you gonna be out there on Friday?
Mid-afternoon.
So you'll start out there Friday mid-afternoon, and you kind of have a time for Saturday, you think you'll?
Depends on the weather.
Depends on the weather?
It looks
Okay.
like the weather's gonna be good this weekend. It's not gonna be horribly hot.
Right, yeah, it should be a little cooler. Okay, thank you, Roy, appreciate that. Joe, would you mind coming up here briefly, sir, and sharing where we are? Joe oversees our member loaner program for the Tyler Amateur Radio Club. He does a fantastic job with this, keeping the inventory and the loans that loan around equipment. So, Joe?
Well, thank you. Right now on our loaner radio program, we have, the club owns 16 working radios, and currently loaned out, we have 4 VHF, 4 HF, 3 all mode, all band for a total of 11. And currently available right now, I have 2 VHF, 1 UHF, and 2 all mode, all band. So all you need to do is contact me and fill out, I think there's a form on the website, I believe, that you can fill out and just come by my house and pick it up. And also, I have a pretty good supply of connector adapters, connectors, things like that. So if you get in a bind and you need something like that, give me a call. I'll probably have what you need. And I've got boxes of those things. So anything like that you need, let me know. So, and I'm on the club roster and my number's there and everything. So don't hesitate to call me, and you can come by and pick up whatever you need. Just have to fill out a form. I did like to bring up one thing. I had a club member call me a few days ago, and he said, can you check my radios? I had a lightning strike and they don't transmit. So first of all, I'm going to make a policy that if you have a loaner radio and you don't disconnect it every time you finish using it and it gets a lightning strike, you bought it. So, but I would recommend everybody, as soon as you get off the radio, unplug the power, disconnect the coax connectors, because in the 80s I had a Galaxy GT 550, took a lightning strike, destroyed the whole thing. So. You know, and we live in East Texas where lightning's all the time, so that's a real good thing. When you get off the radio, just unplug those suckers. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Joe does a fantastic job keeping up with this, the inventory. He makes sure that everything before it's loaned out, antennas, radios, are in working order for the one receiving those to borrow those. You do have to be an active member of Tyler Amateur Radio Club in good standing in order to do that. And the deal about unplugging is something really serious, because if we had several, like we do get a lot of lightning strikes here in East Texas, it's just where we are and what happens weather-wise, because we don't have an endless supply of radios and antennas and power supplies. So that's why we have to look at doing something like that. It's more or less like an accountability thing, but it's also a good habit to get into, not just for loaner equipment and antennas, also for all of us as amateur radio operators. Especially, you go to work in the morning, you take a trip, you're going to be home. I'll be home by 5 or 6 o'clock. Well, the storm rolls in like it did the other day. Sometimes we expect it and sometimes we don't. Saturday a week ago, we got a storm there in Flint for a half hour. I didn't expect we had anything coming at all. And we got some stuff there for a good half hour, lightning and thunder and heavy rain. Not forecasted. I thought everything was going to be south of us, but it hit us in Flint, moved up towards Tyler Saturday a week ago. So anyway, it's just a good reminder for all of us. What Joe was thinking about the gentleman that reached out to him is just to unplug our power supplies from the wall outlet and also disconnect our antennas and stuff like that, just to protect our equipment, because you guys and gals know we got a lot of money wrapped up in this stuff, so we just want to take care of what we got. The other thing I had, I'm going to share this with y'all. We're not going to go into it tonight just because of time. We'll bring it up during the August TARC meeting back at Shadow Road Church of Christ. We were going to talk about, and I want y'all to be thinking about this and thinking if you'd be willing to do this, of creating a standing committee, starting it probably in August, for that committee to meet periodically. Just looking at volunteers to do that, and that would be a standing committee for the mill team for Field Day 2025. The other thing with that, I will tell y'all, I know others have come in as president. The elections are held and you take your position June 1, and then my idiot light did not go off until about the second week in June. Oh man, wait a minute, how do we put Field Day together as a new officer coming in? And it makes it a little difficult, so we're going to be putting together like a standard operational procedure, an SOP. I'm going to try to write that. I'll share that with the officers and the at-large board members to let them take a look at it, and then we'll share it to y'all, and I'd like for y'all to go through it. Because what I'd like to do, the things that we learned this year in Field Day 2024, is to have that in there and have it covered. Kind of like what Wayne was talking about, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to have it in there, and that upcoming officer can look at, the upcoming president can look at it and say, well, yeah, we'll focus on that. We're not going to focus on that. It'll be up to that position to decide what they're going to focus on or not. But at least give them something. So when they hit the ground June 1 of their new position and Field Days on their, right knocking on their door, they have something to go by and kind of to run with. So anyway, be thinking about that. If you're willing, would be willing to serve on something like that, a standing committee. We'd do a standing committee because what would happen would be May 31st, when we put just a regular committee together, if you will. That committee goes away May 31st as the new officers come in. It's kind of how we're looked at in our rules, bylaws, and stuff like that. So it's the kind of technical stuff, but we'll just look at doing that. So if you have any thoughts about that, we'll bring this up again during the August TARC meeting, in-person TARC meeting, and take a look at that, and we'll ask for volunteers. And if you have any questions about that, we have 4 weeks to talk about this. Reach out to me or any of the other officers and chit-chat with them if you want to find out what might be involved in that, what you can offer, if your willingness and availability to do something like that. Because I got to tell you, we got to be fed at Field Day, right? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I get hungry. And having that organized, and also to do it the most economical way possible. Have it organized up front, time out, time way out with whoever the vendor will be using and stuff like that, furnishing the meat. So anyway, that's all I had to say about that. Real quick, are there any comments or questions, clarification on anything that was said tonight that we need to talk about? John, how long do we have to kind of hang for a little bit for those that, what time do we need to?
No set time.
No set time?
But if I could, so the ladies, I didn't realize the ladies group was already going to have all the tables and stuff decorated. So when I got here, I took the tablecloths and their little centerpieces off. So if y'all would kind of help me out so I don't have to go back and redo them all by myself, make sure you clean off your tables. If you need to wipe them off if they're wet, grab a paper towel and wipe them off. Push the chairs back up, and if you don't mind, grab a tablecloth and a little centerpiece and put it back on the table where you're at. I also have some over here because kind of my idea was, where we could be closer to the screen, but kind of everybody migrated over here. But that would help me out and keep me from having to redecorate all the tables by myself. And, and any other mess you see, just kind of pick it up as you go. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Okay. John, thank you. And this show our appreciation to John for getting this set up because he did it on the fly. So we really appreciate what you did, getting us a place to meet and so forth. One last time, are there any comments, questions, anything anybody needs to mention?
There's the K5 SAR Hamfest on the 10th of next month in Shreveport, if anyone's interested in going.
K5 SAR Hamfest, Shreveport,
yes.
Louisiana, next
August 10th.
August the 10th. Okay. Okay.
Website is k5sar.com, I believe.
Website is k5sar.com. So check it out if you're interested. It's just a few hours away, so out to our east. So check it out if you're interested. All right. If there's nothing else, thank y'all for being here tonight. Thank you for coming to a different location tonight. And we'll see you on the air and see y'all next month. Thank y'all.